here watch Monday Night Raw. Now, I gotta tell you, my fandom of professional wrestling is grossly overstated. I don't know the last time I watched Monday Night Wrestling. It has been rotten garbage for such a period of time. And the last show that I ever saw, I saw live. They came to Portland, I actually went, so I haven't seen it on TV in a period of time. But I watched on Monday. And I watched on Monday because my phone was lighting up with people telling me, hey, you got to turn this on. This is the worst thing I've ever seen on TV. And I'm going, I don't know that you could make Monday Night Raw any worse than Monday Night Raw has already made itself. But I'm in. And I'm the guy that will look at a train wreck. That's true. I'm the guy who logged on and watched Joey Diaz's podcast because Front Row Brian sent me a text and said Joey Diaz just fell asleep while filming his podcast. So I turned it on and watched Joey sleep and snore for 2 hours just because I wanted to see if Joey was ever going to wake up. At any rate, I had a very similar experience watching Monday Night Raw. This was so bad. Now, I have to tell you, good for them for pushing forward. Good for them for doing their best and bringing a level of entertainment. Absolutely. But here was the mistake, okay? They ran this out of the NXT training center. This place is state of the art. I'm from sound to lights to a ramp to the ring to the built-in seats. Just a absolutely beautiful arena. The problem that you have, let me ask you guys this before I go any further, okay? If you haven't seen this disaster, let me ask you this. How do you think it would be produced? How do you think it would be presented to the audience? If you were the producer, how would you present it? Pause a moment and think. Okay, great. Let me tell you what most of your answers were. Most of your answers were, I'd have either dropped a curtain around the whole thing and blacked it off and put all the lights up right up where the camera and the action is, and I would have done what's called shooting tight, or I'd have just blacked out the arena, put the lights over the ring, and filmed it that way. There is boxing events that I could name. There is mixed martial arts events that I could name right now where they will overdark an arena. Why I don't agree with their lighting package. It will be a sold-out arena and will look as though absolutely nobody's there because all you can see is the lights that happen to be on the apparatus, the ring or the cage. I don't agree with that, but that's ways to do it that are happening right now, and that's with 20,000 people live. The WWE, for reasons that are never going to be understood by me, decided to light the arena the exact same way. So the same lighting that was on the ring is the same lighting that's on the first row, second row, and the 20th row. They did not dim it in the least, so they steered into the fact that nobody was there. It looked ridiculous. I had no idea until watching this piece of rotten garbage. I always assumed the performers were the star of the show. I now know it's the fans. If you have no fans at a wrestling event, you're in a hard spot. So the performers would come out, and again, this wasn't their fault, right? This is everybody's first time, and this is one of the problems you have with live TV. I'm only voicing it to you because there was a lesson to be learned here, and I'm hoping this was learned. It looked as though this was a dry rehearsal. Now, it's okay and it's going to be a success in the long run if, for WrestleMania, which by example, they're going to run out of this same exact training center and only stream it live, absolutely no audience. If they used this disaster known as Monday Night's Raw as a dry rehearsal for WrestleMania and they dim the damn thing and let the action be fully on what is happening in the ring, they're going to be okay. But this was a mess to the highest of levels, and even the performers, who had never done it before, in their defense, didn't know enough to know what they didn't know. For example, they would come in and they would start addressing the audience. One performer literally said, for those in attendance and for those watching around the world on television, "What? There is nobody in attendance, and you didn't even fool me on that fact because you're showing me the crowd." There are things that happen right now in the world of production that just get very poorly attended. There's a way to hide that. There's a way to make it look like 2 people or 2,000 people or to make 2,000 people look like 2 people. For reasons unknown, they didn't understand any one of these concepts. And then, by the way, in wrestling, it's called calling a match. Okay, the wrestlers don't work out the routines in the back. I mean, they do discuss it. They'll discuss what we're going to do in this spot, what we're going to do in this spot. But then largely, that takes 30 to 40 seconds. You'd be blown away. When they get in the ring, one guy is in charge. He's the general, and he's going to call the match. whip me into the rope, clothesline, stand up, kick to the stomach, DDT. I mean, they're voicing it in the match. So because they did this at the training center that they had not had time to work through, evidently, there's microphones as many lights as were on in this damn building for reasons that I'll never understand. There was equally as many microphones on. So now when the wrestlers are trying to call the match, you hear them calling the match. Most people will, in Vince's defense, okay, the fact that he is pushing forward and understands people are going to watch wrestling for the same reason that people watch Hamlet, okay? It's not to see the guy pretend die at the end. They already know how it goes, but the performance is so good they're going to watch it anyway. When you see the magician pull the card out of his sleeve, you knew the card was in there. You know the card's up his sleeve the whole time, but if you catch him pulling it out, he is now a fool. Even though we all suspend reality to play along to a certain degree, if you can't sleight of hand, get me looking over here, will you take it out over here? I now win and you now lose. That's how this exchange works. If I can hear the wrestler saying, whip me into the rope, you have now failed because you're the one filming it and you're the one that turned the damn microphone on. Meanwhile, 2 days earlier, UFC is in Brazil. There was nobody there. Do you want to know how we know nobody was there? Because they made an announcement, nobody was there. Had they not made that announcement, you never would have known because they dimmed the arena, put the lights on the cage, and shot tight. I could not believe the 3-hour disaster that was Raw. It was a mistake to the biggest of levels and good for everybody that was involved. Regardless of the tone that I am shaming this disaster of garbage with, good for them for trying, but bad on them if by WrestleMania time they don't take this as a dry run, either drop the curtains down, black the whole thing out, or kill the lights and put the action in the ring.